All right, Greg. I appreciate you taking the time out to do this interview with us. I know you've done probably 1,000 interviews between now and the last 4 days, but I appreciate you taking out the time.
No, my pleasure, man. I appreciate you guys.
So, I want to get your thoughts to, and I'm sure you've been asked this a lot, but you know, you headed up the task force that investigated this case. You were the person to put out the book and the documentary that kind of unearthed this to the public. For many years, people have tried to poke at your investigation, or sorry, I shouldn't say yours, at the investigation of the task force, and tried to create conspiracy theories or other reasons as to what happened. But in the end, it seems like what you and your task force did was the absolute truth, and it seems like that was justified with Keefe D's arrest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look back for the last, 13 years, I think, since we kind of went public with the story, our narrative's never changed. We don't have to revise books. We don't have to do follow-up documentaries to modify stories. The story's been the same since the day it was originally told, based on our investigation. So that consistency ought to indicate something to people who are trying to figure out what the truth is. And we've been on the same set of tracks the whole time, and here we are. And it's great to see that what we knew back in 2009 and 2010 is what is starting to come to the surface as the truth today.
Absolutely. What did you think of Suge Knight's comments that number one, he wouldn't testify, and number two, that he said he wasn't sure if Keefe D had involvement, but that Orlando wasn't the shooter, in his words?
Well, first of all, consider the source. It's Suge Knight. If his lips are moving, he's lying. That's just the bottom line to it. He's had every type of, response to this. It was Puffy. No, Tupac's alive. No, it was Reggie and Sharitha. And, so it's Suge Knight just doing what Suge Knight always does. And that's just talk nonsense. He's in a particular predicament right now where he's in jail. And so, of course, he doesn't want to complicate his situation by coming out and being perceived by as a snitch, by anybody within the institution. So, I mean, it's just Suge Knight doing what Suge Knight has always done, and nobody should be surprised by it, and nobody should listen to it either. It's just more of his stupidity, to be honest with you. And I'll tell you this, and this is what I've been saying lately. For those people who have been wondering, why did this take so long? And that's a legitimate question, and it should be answered. But I can tell you that if one single person could be held responsible for the delay in the arrest or in the process of bringing Tupac Shakur's murder to justice, it's Suge Knight. He knew the night that Tupac was shot. He knew the moment Tupac was shot exactly who was responsible. And he chose not to say anything. In his own words, I don't solve murders. I don't help police. So, if he had just simply came in to the Las Vegas Police Department when they summoned him after Tupac was shot, and he said, hey, I looked across the car, I saw Keefe D, it was him and his crew, that case would have been solved in 48 hours.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like it would have been beneficial for Suge to have cooperated with the prosecution, considering his current legal status?
Oh, absolutely. Had he done the right thing back when it mattered, he may have been able to avoid that prison sentence that he got as a result of his beatdown of Orlando Anderson. That probation violation that he ended up with probably would have been mitigated tremendously had he gone in and cooperated and said, listen, let's solve the murder of Tupac. It's the right thing to do. Tupac deserves it. His fans and family deserve that. And had he done that, he probably never would have went to prison. And therefore, maybe he saved death row.
Well, let me ask this: would he care to benefit if he were to have helped, let's say, 3 months ago when the grand jury was doing interviews?
No. I mean, because if he wants to come in and be forthright, but that's just not going to happen. No matter what with Suge Knight, you're going to have credibility issues because he's changed his story so many times. He's lied so many times. So you've got just at the foundation of his credibility issues. And so I understand that Las Vegas needs to go out and do due diligence and try to talk to him because that's what you do as an investigator. You seek out information. But of course, Suge's not reliable, and nobody's going to give Suge a deal. He's in prison for the manslaughter case that he got convicted of, and he's responsible for the murder of Biggie Smalls. So nobody's going to want to give Suge any kind of deal, and Suge's not going to do anything without some kind of deal. So Suge, insofar as Tupac's case, is irrelevant.